Moldova is a landlocked country in Eastern Europe, sandwiched between Romania and Ukraine. However, it only got independent in 1991. The more observant of you would have noticed that the Republic of Moldova and Romania share similar flags, and most Moldovans speak the same language as their larger neighbor. So this brings us the question, why is Moldova not part of Romania? And most importantly, why does it exist? History time. Moldova is historically known as Moldavia during much of its history, and it's a crossroads of many ethnicities and empires. The Scythians, Romans, Goths, Magyars, Bulgarians, Huns, Pechenegs, Cumans, and Mongols have at least touched a portion or the whole of this region. It was in the 14th century when the Principality of Moldavia was established in the region by Vlach, old exonym for Romanians who rejected Hungarian authority and went their own ways. One of the greatest Moldavian rulers was Stephen the Great, who spent much of the time fighting Hungary, Poland, and the Ottomans, in which the later managed to turn Moldavia into its vassal. While Moldavia is having its own affairs, another Romanian-speaking entity, Wallachia, also broke off against Hungarian rule and also made by Ottomans into a vassal. While both were vassals, both of them found themselves involved in many wars, especially between the expanding Habsburgs and Russians against the Ottomans. The Russians then managed to annex the eastern part of Moldavia, lands collectively known as Bessarabia, while Habsburgs annexed Bukovina. After the Crimean War, Russia ceded part of Bessarabia to what is left of Moldavia, which later unified with Wallachia and formed Romania, although Russia got back those lands because of, Danube access. During World War I, Romania joined the Entente, then the Central Powers pushed them back to the east. Romania rejoined the fight one day before World War I ended. But by this point, the Russian Empire is in a state of collapse along with Austria-Hungary, so a big opportunity is spelled by Romania. There was already a pro-Romanian movement in Bessarabia, and after the revolution, they declared Moldavian independence, which later joined Romania. Then Romania expanded into Transylvania after the Treaty of Trianon. By this point, Moldova is part of Romania, and it's a good status quo, right? Well, most other nations recognize it, except for, you know what it is, the USSR. The USSR continues to claim as theirs, and they demonstrate it by establishing Moldavian Autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic over Transnistria, which was controlled by the USSR. They tried to regain Moldavia diplomatically, and in 1939, they finally smelled an opportunity when the USSR and Third Reich signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, a non-aggression pact that secretly divided Eastern Europe between them. The USSR gave Romania an ultimatum demanding they cede Bessarabia, and they complied. Romania regained it during Operation Barbarossa, but that wouldn't last. The Moldavian Soviet Socialist Republic is established, with these borders including Transnistria, while the rest of Bessarabia went to the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. These borders were established to prevent Romanian irredentism, which threatens the territorial integrity of the USSR, but that doesn't stop Romania's Nicolae Ceausescu from doing so. The USSR further developed Moldavia to become separate from Romania, implementing linguistic shifting from Latin to Cyrillic alphabet, while also giving emphasis on other ethnic groups in the region. However, as Mikhail Gorbachev reformed the USSR, calls for an independent Moldavia and even unity with Romania was manifested, and they also switched the Moldavian language to the Latin alphabet. This didn't go so well with the other minorities such as the Slavs in Transnistria and Turkic peoples in Gagauzia. As soon as this was happening, The movement for the unification of Romania and the Republic of Moldova is very much alive. But what about Romania? Well, Romania is dealing with its own problems of anti-communist revolution. But afterward, the new leadership became cautious and was pressured by Gorbachev to respect the territorial integrity of the USSR. Also, even though many in Romania supported Romanian-Moldavian unity, the mentality of most of the Moldovan public was either indifferent or opposed, with opposition stronger in Transnistria. Why? Well, unlike Romania, Moldova has been administered by the Russian government for quite a long time. They've been more Russified. Also, as I mentioned earlier, its borders also complicated the path to unity with Romania. Moldova did adopt the Romanian flag with the Moldovan coat of arms and anthem as its national symbols during its independence from the Soviet Union in 1991. However, the Transnistrian War in 1992 further complicated things, as Russians and Ukrainians in Transnistria had it seceded from Moldova backed by the Russian military in the same year. Although a peace treaty was signed, Transnistria continued to demand independence from Moldova, although they are nominally independent, but they are still recognized as part of Moldova by the international community until today. By 1994, the new government held a referendum on whether Moldova should be kept independent, which was overwhelmingly backed. By this point, the government has distanced Moldova from Romanian unity, adopting a new anthem and calling their language Moldovan instead of Romanian. Afterward, Moldova and Romania go on their ways as independent nations. However, the movement for Romanian-Moldovan unity persisted, even until today, fluctuating most of the time. Most who supported Moldovan-Romanian unity are mostly those who want Moldova to be more integrated with the Western world, especially that Romania had joined the EU and NATO, and those who strongly oppose are those who stress that Moldovans are separate from Romanians or those ethnic minorities in Transnistria and Gagauzia, who seek to integrate more with other patrons like Russia and Turkey. This similar Western versus Russian integration struggle also spreads to Ukraine, as those in the West prefer Western integration while those in the East prefer Russian integration. Russia is keen to keep Moldova and Ukraine under their influence, as it is seen as a buffer against the West. So they continue to support the Transnistrian separatists in Moldova and those separatists in Donetsk and Luhansk region of Ukraine. Ultimately, Moldova is not part of Romania because of many factors, such as historical Russian influence in Moldova, complicated borders, ethnic minorities in Moldova, the ongoing issue in Transnistria, and the current geopolitics despite having shared language, history, and culture. Will they unite in the future? Well, time will tell, depending on the geopolitical outlook and the will of the people. For now, they remain sovereign independent states. By the way, why don't you visit them when you can? They do offer quite a number of sites to visit. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe for more country neighbors.